Welcome, everybody. I love seeing all these faces. Oh my goodness. I'm so excited to see all these faces, and I'm not here. Shane is your team leader. I'm so excited to see all these new faces. So Shane is going to start leading. I'm getting off. Goodbye.
Oh my gosh. Okay. How's everybody doing? We have a few new faces, and I am like I'm having Zoom challenge of like so many faces, and I don't see them all on the screen. So I'm gonna be like scrolling here.
How about I go through everybody while you
would you help me? Yeah, that would be great.
So because we have so many super rad faces and we've got a guest speaker today, I kind of want to do a very quick everybody go around and remind us who you are and where you're from. And we'll do that really quick because we're really lucky. We've got so many super incredible individuals on here. So I am going to do it like in line here. And Larry Harper is our guest speaker today. So Larry, you're going last. Karen, hi. You're on mute, and you had a really super cool session, camp not too long ago. But if you could just quickly introduce yourself, and then I'm going to go around this.
Sure. I am Karen Evans, and I'm the co-founder of the Women Veteran Surf Project. And we just had our first pilot retreat for 4 days, and we gathered lots of data, and they were very excited to be part of the research. I even brought my studies, and they were reading them and walking around the camp. It was actually pretty funny. It was a huge impact. And women veterans, I had never been with just women vets, and it was really awesome. And sharing the ocean with them was great. So, yay.
Thank you for what you do, Karen. You rock. Stephanie, new to the house, not new to surf therapy. She's been rocking it out on the East Coast. Hi, Stephanie. Do you mind introducing yourself? You're on mute.
Hi, I'm Stephanie Dasher. I just took over the executive director role at Warrior Surf. I'm sure all of you guys have heard of Andy Manzi. He's still around, still involved, but he's doing some cool stuff. So yeah, excited to be here.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you back on board. Andy's out, just creating new things with all his awesomeness. Mark from Australia. What time is it over there? Oh, it's actually what, 5 a.m., 6 a.m.? Oh God, Mark,
it's 6 a.m. So I'm happy I didn't sleep through my 3 alarms to make the call. So really happy to be here, guys. I'm with the Waves of Wellness Foundation, mental health charity, surf therapy charity in Australia. We work with all kinds of different populations, one of them being veterans and first responders. So we employ allied health professionals or mental health clinicians that are also our surf instructors and facilitate 6 or 8 week surf therapy programs. So really stoked to learn from everyone and be a part of this group.
Foundation WOW has set a very high bar, and a lot of us kind of reach out to you and Joel and of course all of the individuals at WOW. So thanks, Mark, so much for being here so early in the morning. It's a little bit late in the UK. So Ben from Survivor in the Netherlands, could you unmute yourself and come on in and say hi?
Yeah, hi everyone. First of all, my apologies for missing the previous meeting, but my name's Ben and I'm the founder of Survivor. We have a surf therapy program in the Netherlands, surfing with veterans and first responders suffering from PTSD.
And you're a rock star. You're kind of underselling yourself, but we all were there in 2019 and we know Ben and we love Ben. Also, actually, Ben, you spoke in 2020. So a big part of ISTO. Thanks, Ben. Hi, James. We're so happy to see your face from Cornwall or Devon.
All good. Sorry for missing the last one as well, Chris, and everyone else. Lovely to meet you all. I'm James, along with Sam, who's here as well. And we are the project leads for Surfwell over in the UK. So Chris, since we last spoke, things have kind of gone absolutely haywire for us. We've started now delivering, as of next week, 3 sessions a week. We run day interventions for police and other emergency services, so first responders in the UK. we've got some funding which has come through. We've got some vans which are being delivered on Friday. We've got some stuff which is coming through in the pipeline. So you'll probably gather today that we're all pretty excited about next week and the next sort of coming months. So yeah, loads of cool stuff to update you all on, really.
Oh my God. Okay. So again, underselling it. The only surf therapy program that is being really financially supported by the by a police department. And we would like to replicate, James and Sam, all of the incredible steps you took in order to get there. And a lot of what Larry is going to talk about today is kind of fundraising in a time of COVID and sort of thinking outside the box. But James and Sam, I'm going to have you go ahead and come on and introduce yourself as well, since you both are leading the charge in the UK, making such big waves over there. You're on mute, Sam.
Hi, Chris. Yeah, good to see you all again. Good to see you again, Ben. And yeah, lots of people we haven't met yet. Hello to everyone. Yeah, really stoked to be here and be part of the discussion and to learn what's going on elsewhere and everything else. And as James said, yeah, we're trying to contain ourselves. Very excited about next week and getting going again after all the various lockdowns of COVID, and yeah, being allowed to start to do it again. Very excited.
Well, thanks for being here. I know it's late at night over there, so thank you. Or is in Costa Rica, but working with a program in Israel. Or how are you? Are you still in Costa Rica?
Yep, still in Costa Rica, which seems to be a better place to be in than Israel, especially today, because things are getting heated up. So Guy couldn't make it. Millions of citizens are sitting, like, taking shelter now because there's a serious missile attack on Israel as we speak, which is more trauma for everybody who's involved. And so we're founding these days a surf therapy program in Israel that is aiming to work with PTSD veterans and other populations. We're just starting, super excited and happy to be here.
Or traveled up to ISTO's conference in 2019. So some of you may have met him, but hearts go out to Guy, or if you're having any contact with him. Obviously, I understood why he didn't respond to my email yesterday. There is so much going on in Israel, and just prayers out to the world, because I think this disruption in the world in general, right, whether it's a climate crisis or a mental health crisis, whether it's individuals or nature, it is, everything is speaking up and being churned up and having a voice right now, and it's scary time. So I'm hoping all of those people stay safe. So anyway, we'll hear more from Guy and hopefully Or at the end of this month, if you guys are gonna the webinar. So hi, Corey in Florida, where it's not so crazy. Hi, can you come on and
Hey, I'm Corey. I'm the founder of Certified Ocean Surf Therapy Adventures. I'm a certified occupational therapy assistant and a veteran. We've been treating, or taking people out from the military base here recently. We got some data in. Everything's going good. So yeah.
Yeah, we love it. All these brand new organizations, we're stoked. Hi, Rob in Kansas. And if you're not familiar with the United States, that's in the middle of our country with no ocean. Hi, Rob.
Hey, how are you? Rob Sanderson. I found and run Swell. It's an organization that takes veterans and first responders on guided surf trips. And kind of what makes our mission special is the fact that we're taking people that have never really been exposed to the ocean before out there and covering everything. I'm a retired police officer and I work for the Department of Conservation. So happy to be here. Love you guys all. Or thinking about you, buddy.
When Rob says covering everything, like they get to come out specifically to California, and like, the air is covered, and of course their accommodations are covered, and they do like family style breakfasts and lunch and dinners. And so there's a lot of connections before they even get out into the water, which I think, Rob, is really cool. The one thing about coming from the middle of the country, nowhere near an ocean, you all have some time together in travel just to get out here. And we talk about this a lot when people are showing up on the beach, that is already a win because they've showed up. So Rob, you guys kind of go the extra mile because there's a big commitment to people traveling on an airplane to get to the ocean as opposed to driving in traffic, you know.
Yeah,
so
we
it's really
kidnap
cool.
them. Yeah.
Okay, you don't kidnap. We're not using those words. No, I'm just kidding. But I think they excitedly and happily jump on that airplane with you.
Yeah.
Okay, so Shane is in the midst of doing a 10,000 things. Shane, I love you. Thank you for being the team leader. Again, I'm not supposed to be here. But I'm going to do a quick intro to Larry and then kind of jump off this.
Did we skip Michelle?
Oh, Michelle, where is she? Oh,
she's on mute, but there's no camera.
With Corey, where are you? Are you?
I see Corey's there. I'm actually on my way home, so I'm driving. But hey, everybody, it's Michelle. I'm here.
We love you, Michelle. Thank you. Sorry about that. You are valued, Michelle, even though I couldn't see you. I apologize.
Thank you.
So everybody, Larry Harper, I was inspired in 2019. The universe, the fates brought us together. Larry is, I mean, where do I go with you, Larry? You're an author. You have built over 200 projects for sort of vulnerable youth and deserving children in the professional sports team, which is really cool. So volleyball courts, baseball fields, basketball court, like all of the things that you're continuing to do. You are famous in your own right, but you're not even going to talk about that, but you should. But you are super rad. And Larry, you have really thought outside the box with Good Tidings Foundation, which is your nonprofit. And we're just grateful to have you here after 25 years of doing the work to sustain a nonprofit, to work with a nonprofit, and again in the time of COVID. So for all of the things that you've done in your career, following your baseball dreams and humanitarian awards and all the things, I could keep going on. I am going to stop and just let you speak. Larry, thanks for being here. Really, really appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Chris. Yeah, I came into the nonprofit world from the professional baseball world. I was a professional baseball scout here in San Francisco. I ran the scouting department for the San Francisco Giants baseball club. And just a little backstory, in 1994, the World Series was canceled. I thought it was kind of a bummer that kids would have to look up to nothing to watch and why were players who love the game not playing. So I wrote a children's book. And from that, I gave all the proceeds of the book to different youth charities. And I kind of knew at that point, I think I can raise money, and my calling is maybe to be a missionary for kids. So 27 years ago, I started Good Tidings Foundation. The name kind of plays on the holiday theme of Good Tidings. And initially we gave out just toys to underserved kids all over the Bay Area here in San Francisco. And then from there, we've grown, like Chris said, we've built over 200 athletic facilities, 20 art studios, 6 music studios. We have a community service scholarship. We award $100,000 a year. In that, we responded to the social kind of awakening last year and started GT Ventures, where we provide startup capital for young Black youth starting a nonprofit or a business, and we award $10,000 grants for that. And what I will say about being in the nonprofit world, first of all, I think it's better, and maybe all of you also didn't come from the nonprofit world, and you can put your own spin and you can find your own way in this business. I never hire people from the nonprofit world. I hire people that have good work ethic and good people skills. And I feel the rest of it, the passion, and I even say the obsession of being successful in it will, I think, lead you. So I think right off the bat, for all of you in this business, I think, you've already got a one step up. So today I'm just gonna chat about a few things that I've done that I thought have worked well for me. That's a little outside the box. Some of it isn't, but some of it has definitely worked for me. But when I started, I assumed no one knows me and why would anyone want to give me money? So first of all, I thought, well, I got to have a core team. And so I looked at it almost like forming a basketball team. I wanted to have 5 superstar board members. And I know board recruitment's hard. We always start with people that just know us or like us or want to help. But one thing that succeeded for me is I didn't have any of my buddies or friends on the board initially. So these were all new people that I got involved, and I shot for the moon. So I went really high level people, but I didn't ask anything of them. So I kind of went the other direction, where a lot of people say you got to have a board and they have to have a give-get, so to speak, responsibility. They have to get 5,000 or give 5,000, or a lot of charities have that program. So I went with very high level people that probably didn't want to be on any more boards, but I said, I just want your guidance. I just want you to be here. We're going to have very limited board meetings. We're going to have very little involvement. And that worked for me, because once they got and saw we were doing something good, then I had some people that were probably way more qualified than a small charity would normally have. So I really spent time in really shooting for the moon, and I asked nothing of them. So it was almost like getting a superstar, but they didn't have to do anything initially. And then once things started going, then they started jumping on their own way. So I didn't ask anything of them. The other thing I did early on is I got a celebrity spokesperson. And if all of us, except for the gentleman in Kansas, live near the ocean, there's lots of famous people and lots of influential people that live by the beach. And ours was an athlete at first. And again, didn't require anything of them other than them lending their name. This was way back before internet. That's how long I've been around, unfortunately. So now you would want to have somebody that maybe they do a little PSA for you, a recording you can use on an Instagram. Come to an event just to be there. So I thought that was a very big value, especially early on, giving you some legitimacy. And being here in the surfing world, I mean, people admire people that surf. That's, you know, I grew up in Southern California, moved to San Francisco. So I've been fortunate to be in California and been kind of aware of the surf culture. But it wasn't until about 2 years ago, I was diagnosed with dementia, pre-Alzheimer's dementia. And when you first get that diagnosis, you say, well, it's a pretty grim diagnosis. And I wasn't going down the path of what medicine told me to do. I said, there's got to be a better path. And I just went crazy on the internet, looking up all the crazy ways people have been trying to battle this, and came to the benefits of the ocean. And stalked Chris, found out what she was all about in her programs, and then ended up 3 months later speaking at ISTO in November. But I go in the water every day. This is a little off topic, sorry, but I go in the water every day. You know, my motor skills have lagged a little, so surfing is a little tougher, but I'm on a bodyboard every day in the water here in the Bay Area, no wetsuit. I jump in with the cold water, get that burst, but my mind is never clearer than the hour or two after I get out of the ocean for the day. And people ask, and some people think it's, there's no scientific backing, but I believe there is. So anyway, off topic, I'm a believer in this whole method of getting in the water, and that's probably why I'm here today. So anyway, board member, celebrity spokesperson, is the 2 things to look at. Also, in picking a board member, the one thing I did is I try to find somebody where maybe I knew the family, and maybe the patriarch or the matriarch of the family, who's in their 70s, could get on the board. But then I know once I get that family involved, then I'm thinking their son or daughter will replace them. So you really get this legacy effect long-term. I'm a big believer in, if you thought your charity was good enough today to start, then I think it's good enough to last past you. And you have to have that belief. So you, from the beginning, you got to think long-term. Too many people are thinking short-term, how do I get past this? But if you can think long-term, and that's one of the ways, is to have this legacy family be on your board, I think it is helpful. The other thing I still do is, I think it's much easier to ask for stuff than for money. So I'm a big in-kind guy. I was looking at some of your websites. One of the websites I really liked was Amp Surf, and they're located here in Central California in Pismo Beach. They do a great job listing the things they need on their website. And but you should always have a list, ongoing list of stuff you need, because it's much easier to ask for that item, whether it be directly for your programming, surf-related stuff, or office-related things, or postage. One thing postage and post offices are a little becoming more obsolete with email and what have you. But one thing we did early on, this was before eBay or online auctions, we created a catalog filled with auction items, and we mailed them out. And the postage was a couple $1,000s. So we went to a company and asked them to pay for the postage. Now, I would have never got a $2,000 donation from this company, but for them just to run it through their general mailroom, really just absorb it as an expense they really would never see, a mid-size or large company, I think is an easier, much easier ask. So I'm still big on in-kind. When I think, cash is hard to come by, I am really big on in-kind, and always having a list of stuff I've got going on, because you never know, somebody might say, hey, I could help it, or a company could just expense it much easier than writing a check from the company. Then also the other thing I did early on was, I found there was a big value in gifting people who are nice to me, or donors or potential donors. So one thing I did very early on, and you certainly could do this, is I tried to become a wholesale rep for as many companies as many brands that I liked, so then I always had the opportunity to buy something very cheaply. We're always asking people for stuff or donations, but sometimes you have to pay for it. And I always think there's the retail price, there's wholesale pricing, and then there's the price I really want to pay for it. And I call it the charity price. So early on, I went to Oakley, and they had an entry level, which I think they still do, entry level sunglasses called frog skins. They sell for like 90 to 100 bucks. And they're a style that's generic for men and women. And so they sell them for $100, they wholesale them for 50, and I got them to sell me 20 pairs for 40 bucks. So I spent 800 bucks, and I had 20 pairs of frog skins. And what I did is I went to certain people that I needed their help. I needed some website design. I needed some other graphic needs. I went and I asked them, and I put it in a letter and a package, and I wrapped up the frog skins, and I gifted them. I paid it forward ahead of time. And I firmly believe if you're nice to someone, they'll be nice back. But I still, to this day, we gift up our people. And then once our donor base is built up, we give a very, very good gift annually to people who give to us. And we spend a long time thinking about it. We have some of the things are custom made, but I'm a big believer in just don't ask somebody for something. What can you bring with you? And when you ask, even if it's a $5 gift card to Starbucks, what can you bring to them and leave behind that's something that's different than someone else? If someone gets asked 10 times a day, why are you standing out? So I'm a big believer in gifting. Some other things I just learned, and this is nothing new with fundraising, but if it's an unqualified ask, and an unqualified ask means you don't know the person, there was no introduction, you had no lead, you know, that's about a 9-to-1 success rate. So for every 10 you ask, you're going to get one person to say yes. And the sooner you can get past those 9 no's and accept the no's as motivation and not be discouraged, you know, that will help you too. And that's one thing I learned early on is it's a numbers game oftentimes when you're asking for something, especially auction items or what have you. And the sooner you can just know everybody's in the same boat, even successful charities, you know, is in the same boat. So just know that I always think I have to get through the 9 no's to get the 1 yes. And then partnering, you know, so many companies are looking now, especially as companies are being started like Warby Parker and Tom's and Bombas Socks, where they have the buy one, give one. And I think the pressure is on for every company, mid-sized or large, to be more socially responsible, whether they go that route or not. But finding a mid to large size company that is near where you are to take you on as part of their social outreach for their employees as volunteers, I think is very beneficial. And you probably have already tried to do this, but that's an unlimited resource. You could have 4 or 5 companies that come to you maybe quarterly and do things for you. That's how you meet the volunteers. Those volunteers could become donors. The owner of the company could get more engaged. So I think outreaching to companies and finding out if they're in need of, you know, something you could provide for them, that they don't know how to go. They don't know how to get into the nonprofit. They don't know how to get their company engaged. They don't know how to get into the public eye, and how they can connect with you, and you can mutually benefit from that, from the social media side to the program side to what have you. And then maybe this company takes on some of your wish lists. It handles all of your postage. Maybe they have a CFO in the company who's going to do your accounting and file your 990s for you. So I would, you know, I think it's again, these are calling cards, and it's maybe somewhere you bring the frog skin sunglasses to a company and you talk to somebody there and say, hey, this is what I'm pitching to you. I need your help. And then the last little thing that I know is very hard for people, and I preach this, is try to save some money along the way. And we saw this in COVID with many nonprofits struggling, many going out of business. But I always saved money for the next year. So I always kind of, and being that we still kind of operate on a calendar year, so I want to make sure I have a nice, healthy checkbook come January. And so early on, I saved, I think our first year we raised, $10,000 in our first year. And so I made sure we had $500 left over at the end of the year. We did all our stuff. And then each year following that, we saved more and we saved more until we almost had enough to operate a whole year. And then we started an endowment fund, and we put that money away, and we put it, and we haven't touched it, and we haven't touched it. And 27 years later, we now have a $12 million endowment. And people say, oh, I could never do that. That's crazy. That's an absurd amount of money. And I agree. I operated in my garage for 5 years. Then we got free office space for 5 more years. I've only been in this office for 4 years. We've got an official real office. So as crazy as it sounds, it can be done. And the beauty of what many of you have got going, many of you don't need office space. The beach is the office. You probably need storage space. You may need a garage. You may need to use a space, but your overhead can be very low on your end. So socking some money away, even when you think, boy, I can barely scrape by. Again, thinking that your charity is not just for now, it's going to go on forever. can be very beneficial if you thought about, the time value of money and as it saves and if you invest it, what have you. And now, in my lifetime, I don't know much longer I will do this, but in my lifetime, I know Good Tidings will go on forever. And so, in whatever format that may be. So, and last bit of tidbit, when I went to ISTO in 2019, and then, I was definitely an off-topic speaker compared to everybody else that was there. I was kind of bringing just the nonprofit side of things. But a lot of people came up to me after and asked for advice. And I told Chris after that, I was going to start to write a little kind of a 1 hour read, a book on how to start a charity. And I'm almost done with that. It's in editing now. So when that gets done, I will send a copy to everyone. But my one thing I write about the book is in the fundraising world, especially in the asking business, you almost want to take it to being you're almost a stalker, except don't quite go all that way. Back it up a couple of notches, but you want to be just short of annoying when you're asking for people. And that's where the gift softens that ask. But you want to be on it. You want to show people my first chapter in my book is passion versus obsession. Everybody's passionate about saving the whales and saving the rainforest and helping a veteran. But the people that are successful are the people that take it and are actually obsessed with it. And it's what they wake up to do every day. It's what they feel like they were called to do. And those are the people, if you're obsessed with something, then you should have no issue with the ask. So anyway, those are some of my rambling points for today. I don't know if any of it rang true, but I am happy to answer any questions today. And then also I'm available, Chris, I'll put in the chat my cell phone and email, and I welcome any of you can contact me at any time. I'm happy. I'm happy if we all can succeed, really.
Thank you so much, Larry. I really appreciate you coming this week. I remember the sentiment I felt after you spoke at ISTO in 2019. It was like true motivation. And it was like, yeah, like there are other ways. It's not just the dollar bill. And you just reminded me of that same feeling. So thank you so much for sharing that insight. I think for the Q&A, if we just kind of go round robin, or if you guys want to raise your hand in the chat box, I don't know the best way to do it, but if anybody does have a question, feel free to holler.
I'm on my phone and I can't figure out how to raise my hand, but can I do it on the video?
Go for it.
Yeah, I really appreciate what you said, Larry. A lot of it certainly rang true. And I just kind of to add on to what you said about, no famous people being in Kansas. The Royals baseball announcer is actually on our board. And then we actually have board members that are on both coasts. So we have a COO of a hospital in Philadelphia, and then Todd Richards, the president of WAMO. So BZ, Maury Boogie, Hula Hoop, Frisbee, he's also on our board. So I would encourage, when you're looking at board members, you made a lot of really great points. People just look outside your area too. Here we are on Zoom, we're talking with people in Costa Rica and the Netherlands. So my question for you is, when it came to the 9 out of 10, what strategy or strategies did you employ that you felt were helpful when you're particularly cold calling folks?
Well, early on, we were before, so we started in 1995. So it was kind of, the internet was just starting. There was no social media. There was no eBay. So I try to, for me, I think, what is the leave behind? What are you creating that you're going to leave behind for somebody? Is it some imagery of you and your team at the beach helping your first responders? Is it that gift? Is it, I think it's, you have to set yourself apart from someone else. And then leave them with something they felt like they got something out of the meeting. So whatever that may be. So when you left, they feel, wow, this is kind of cool. There's one thing, this is my latest one, but there's a company in San Diego. And I just found out about this company. It's a company in can everybody see that? SandCloud. It's a company in San Diego that makes these Egyptian beach towels. They're super cool. They sell them for like $50 to $60. And I got them to send me them for like 18. And then I put Good Tidings logo on it. So this is my latest leave behind. What's cooler than a cool looking beach towel? Maybe it's the coolest thing in Kansas. I don't even know. But for 15, I would roll the dice on leaving 20 of these behind with someone, and then making sure that your ask is definitely more than the cost of what you're leaving behind, but getting them engaged. And then we also did not charge the first 5 or 6 years. We did not charge for our gatherings or fundraiser. So we got people in, we got a restaurant to help us out, or you could go to a coffee shop, coffee house, or you can go on the beach. But I didn't charge entry fee initially because I was really trying to round up as much support as I could and just gather followers. So I think, leaving, being that we're all engaged with the ocean, a beach towel, and there's so many cool companies out there. I mean, if you even go on Amazon, there's some very inexpensive. Last year, there was a company that did the Mexican, really colorful Mexican blankets. I think I got those for $8 a piece. And so for a very minimal cost, you're just separating yourself from someone else. And I love the announcer from the Royals. We did that here. One of the Giants announcers on our board. And initially I got him engaged because I just asked him to MC a couple things. And then now him and his family are so engaged. So I love that. You have somebody that's very good at speaking and outreach. I love that. And now that we're all used to this, I think you brought up the other good point. Your board member does not have to live near you. It can be wherever, since we're gathering in different ways now. Yeah, but I think it's cool what you're doing. I mean, getting people to the water from the middle. I always thought of that. If I never lived in California, how many people never see the beach? That's just, so anyway, I love what you're doing, but I guess for me, it's the leave behind item that separates me. And I always hear it from other people because I see other charities, what they give, or little thank you notes or little things. Those are all good, but give something you'd want to get. Like, what's on your Christmas list that's cool? Don't give them crap. I always tell people, like the sports teams around here, the Giants, A's, 49ers, the Sharks, we work with all of them. And they have their own charity and their own foundations, all the teams do. And typically what the team gives to their biggest donors is a leftover bobblehead or a leftover giveaway that they gave away at the stadium. And I tell them, you have the best resources around you. Give them tickets to a game, give them something they want. So be thoughtful in what you give too.
That's great advice, Larry. Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, that's it.
Maybe Kelly can give up a few slots at the Wave here in Lamar. Anybody else? Questions for Larry?
I was just gonna say, I offer a surf session. I just say, hey, thanks for donating this. Would you be interested in you and a couple of friends coming out and surfing? And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. That seems to be pretty good. People, it's not, to me, it's nothing, but to them, it's something. So yeah, fun.
I think from outside looking in, if you're all into the surf world, I mean, I look, everybody admires the surf culture, especially growing up in California. Everybody thinks of surfers. I mean, like you're like rock stars. And so if you can take people to the beach, absolutely. That would be a great way to find board members, donors. Obviously, it could end up being a revenue thing if you do surf camps for kids on the side or what have you. But I agree. I love the idea of taking people to the beach. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think Mark, not to put you on the spot, but Foundation Wow has done an incredible job of thinking outside the box, and some of the different fundraisers you do. Would you be willing to jump on and share
Yeah.
some of that?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Thanks for your talk, Larry. It was really insightful, and I love the idea around like thoughtful gift giving. It is a great point of difference. Like the way that we've approached our fundraisers, we originally started where it's like, okay, who do we know in our networks that is going to come to an event, a fun black tie style ball, but it's kind of party on the top or party down below, formal on the top, where we wear a suit jacket and board shorts, is something that is a bit of a point of difference, where it was a kind of $200 a ticket. We all looked to our friends and families and networks to come, and we were able to raise some revenue with that. But then we really said the networks we need to be hitting are actually people outside of our networks, because we're always going to them. We're always going to them with an ask. How do we get more of the big fish? So we had one supporter who's a donor who actually donated his yacht that we could use on Sydney Harbor. And we said, okay, how can we use this how can we leverage this kind of donation of this yacht to bring in some real big funds? So we said, all right, let's plan an event where we actually just target 60 really high income earning guests that can afford quite an expensive ticket price. I think we went for $800 a ticket, and we got some really great auction items that we could auction off that night. We tried to focus more on like a unique experience, almost like a money can't buy experience, where our guests could bid on an item to head down to Urban Surf, which is a new wave pool down in Melbourne in Australia. And we got some professional surfboards donated that were signed by Mick Fanning. And those auction items did really well for us. But I think for us, the big learning there was thinking outside of just our networks, and having a strategy on how do we target more of the high-end people that have the disposable income that can really get behind this. And we had some great traction with that. Now, that was just pre-COVID. We've had to kind of put that on hold for 2020, but we found that worked out really, really well for us. And it was that, I think I resonate with the whole point of difference, and the yacht, the experience, that was kind of our point of difference.
Yeah, I love that yacht club idea, where there's oceans, there's boats. I love that whole connection. I love that, the way you sought that out. One thing we've been doing the last few years is we've gone to musicians. So we've gone to Kenny Loggins, Jason Mraz, Sarah Bareilles, Huey Lewis and the News. They've all performed for us. And then in turn, we've worked with them on a project and built music studios. So it could be a way of getting someone, hey, would you perform for us? And then maybe we do something with you, connected to a day at the beach with you and some kids, or to have somebody perform for you. So there's lots of ways to kind of think that way, as you just thought about the yacht, on how you're going to, branch out and find that new network for sure.
And one more thing that might be helpful to other people, we found that it was leaning on the existing networks that we had. So the individual that donated the yacht, he also was very invested and very excited about the idea of using his yacht to host some of his friends and have to kind of show the fact that he supports Waves of Wellness. So we really used that to tap into his networks. And for him, that gave him great value. So understanding that that is something that he really valued and got out of it. But also leaning on, our board members and their networks, and, how they could get more people on board was a good learning for us.
Yeah, that's great.
And I can't help but to think how that ties back kind of into what you were talking about in the beginning, Larry, with, finding those five all-star, basketball team players for your organization. And, they could be anywhere. So I guess, for the organizations in our group that are just starting up and maybe still trying to develop those boards, even thinking about like, hey, what resources would we like to think about to help this grow and, continue to live beyond me. That's like a really nice idea. I love that. Thank you, Mark.
I have a question. Thanks for the great tips and advice. Super interesting. One advice that we got now that we're just starting is don't just go and ask for money or things from people. Try to also create some income for the organization. Try to have some products that you sell, and out of this so-called profit, you can maybe use it to support other programs. And we're kind of debating around this question. I was wondering if any of you guys have some advice around it. Like, we're not sure what we could sell. Obviously, we could sell surf therapy sessions to people that can pay and use it for the subsidized programs for those who can't pay. But it's a little awkward for us, so we're still debating. I was wondering if any of you guys, if your organizations are doing something like this.
Shane, I can answer that if you're happy with that. If that's okay.
Say that one more time.
Sorry, Shane, I think I was raising a real hand rather than a virtual hand. Sorry, I can probably answer that question if that's okay. I didn't want to talk over if that's okay. Hey, also, our program over in the UK is kind of probably quite a good example of that. For us, obviously, being Sam and I are both police officers serving still. So it's very difficult for us to go and ask companies for money or for sponsorship or for recognition. We've got to be really careful in the UK in relation to stuff like that around police and the way that we operate. So one of the things that we did was try to get, when our ask for our project was getting academic rigor. So the support from academics to say, this actually works. It goes beyond just something that's taking people to the beach. There's a lot of science behind it. And that was our really, really big thing that we struggled over or worked hard at for the last sort of 3 to 4 years. So we're now at that point where we've got the academic support. And I think in answer to your question, or what we've really found to be useful, is that we can say to our own organisation, to the police, well, actually, you're getting back savings in terms of officers not being off work sick. So that saves a huge amount of money. And now that's demonstrable across other work streams. So we can say with the NHS, the nurses that have faced the COVID issues in the hospitals, actually your bit back is that you've got a humongous amount of people who are back in work and are performing. And at the far end of the scale, you've got members of staff who haven't completed suicide. And that's what we can say from our program, from the academic support. There's 3 or 4 people who have said, I'm only here still alive on this planet because of the intervention that's happened. And I think, or that really, in terms of proving and giving something back is quite a powerful thing, really. And it's different to something that's tangible. It's not a product, it's not a service that's being offered. So say it's a real return for their investment. And that then starts to then snowball.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Rob.
So we've had a couple of pretty successful ventures in collaborating with companies. There's a coffee company in San Diego called Wind and Sea, and they actually developed a brew for us. And the way we pitch collaborative kind of partnerships is we'll tell, hey, just come out and say that, this particular brew or this particular product will donate, X amount of dollars per bag purchase or whatever. And in the end of each quarter, write the charity a check. And in a sense, it's a donation. And that way we don't have to buy in bulk and distribute ourselves. They do what they're normally doing. And what they get from us is our social media, our network, our influence to help push their product, but also a tax donation. And they get that in America, a big thing now, as Larry mentioned, is having a social cause to get behind. And a lot of successful companies do that. The other thing that we're doing is we're working with Merck Optics. It's a sunglass company. We're coming out with Swell aviator glasses because cops will eat up some aviator sunglasses here in the States. But really pitching them with a benefit. And I would never, especially starting out, try to buy anything in bulk and sell it on your own. Try to collaborate and just let them work their business and just donate to you.
Yeah, I love that. I love that idea. Yeah, I think what Rob said is great, you know, and you're just going to gain, you're going to gain followers and gain awareness, especially if not many people know of you and you're branding with a coffee company and your logo's on the back of the bag and proceeds go to that. It's a slow process. I mean, I'm in it 27 years, so it takes a while to build that up, but that's a great opportunity for both the company doing it and yourself.
Go ahead, Mark.
I was just going to add there, or that the fee for service model is something that we kind of worked into our programs. Majority of our program funding has come from successful grants, but in the early days, we pitched our program to other communities, more larger NGOs or community services that were already working with the people that we knew would benefit from surf therapy, whether it's a youth service or a community mental health center. And we figured we had the tools to provide them with this really amazing 8-week structured program. They had funding already coming in from the government. Obviously for them, funding is always tight, but if we found the right service and they saw the value in what we were doing, they would purchase the program from us and we would deliver it to the people that they're working with. So it's just, for us, it was figuring out, what is the skill set we have that they wouldn't be able to do. We have the insurances, we have all of the risk assessments, we have the surf instructors, the staff. For a health service, that's a lot of risk, where we could kind of say, we're almost, they're paying us for that 8-week program. We deliver it with 10 of their participants. That money then can go back into subsidizing those costs. And after a year of doing that, once we had the grant funding in, we could go to them and say, look, we really appreciate your support over the years. We can now fund this program, or we've had a donation come in. Can we, if you're able to fund half of it, we can fund half of it. And it was that really helped us in that collaborative approach and really helped foster a good relationship with them when we could go back and say, we appreciate your support, and we're looking at this grant so that you don't have to pay for this next year.
Awesome. Thanks
so much. Anybody else? Questions for Larry? Stephanie, go ahead.
I was just going to say too, sometimes when you're meeting with corporate sponsors, it's easy to want to come across as really desperate yourself. Like, hey, we really need this money. And I think there's some value in just taking a moment to step back. We had a meeting this morning, and one of the things that we said is, hey, we actually have value added, right, to what you're doing. And to piggyback on what Larry and Mark were saying about being social stewards, companies really want that now. And so it's kind of spinning the story to be, hey, it's actually more beneficial for you to partner with us because of this value that we're bringing to you. And then slowly opening the gates to, what are the next things that we can provide for you? So, if I say, hey, let's start small and do this event here, and then we'll see where we can go. Well, maybe now I'm providing, for instance, today, one of the conversations I had was, maybe we can provide wellness coaching services to the players on the local hockey team. And so how are we ramping up to that so it doesn't seem just like we're taking, but that we're giving them something, even though you want it really badly, just kind of taking a breath and taking a step back in that, which is something we've definitely had to learn over here.
Absolutely. I so appreciate that. I think, my business is on the for-profit sector, but, working as a physical therapist, most people in the United States don't recognize like that cash pay model, that fee for service model. It's the first question is always like, do you take my insurance? And then as a practitioner, I'd always be like, kind of wound up on my soapbox about why I didn't take insurance, even though I know how important insurance is in our health system. But like as a practitioner, like one-on-one, it's like, I can't, and I used to kind of take offense to it. And I had this coach that was like, that's just their first line. It's like, if you walked up to somebody at the bar and we're just like, hey, do you want to go home together? It's like, that's their first line. Like so like, that's kind of how I feel like with this too. It's just remembering that you're building that relationship and tying back into Larry's concept of this is your organization is going to outlive you. So just take those smaller steps. I think it's just so hard right now. I think a lot of people are feeling that pressure from COVID and having been shut down and not being able to maybe do the normal activities that we would do to create revenue for organizations. But I love that. Thank you so much, Stephanie. That was a good point. Anybody else?
Did you
All
just
right.
use a bar analogy of getting turned down by dudes at a bar? That's awesome.
Well, like a lot of people don't know what to ask. So that's the first thing that everybody asks.
No.
And then I just get defensive because it's not about the product, it's about the insurance. And I'm like, no, I can really help you. And people don't always see that because they're so focused on that first.
Yeah, no, I love all of this, and everybody has said it. Like, believe in what you're doing and believe in what you're providing and give it away. Because if you give it away, I promise you, the one person who you don't even know necessarily is the one person who very well may have a yacht for you to use. And that's just a fact. When you're this idea of, how valuable surf therapy is, that it's long lasting. And I have said this over and over and over again, those who benefit from it want to support it because they want to see it existing, not just for themselves, but for others. The other thing is we're talking to a majority of programs that are working with veterans and frankly, even first responders. Certainly here in the United States, there is a lot of money in government. I mean, right, wrong, indifferent, however you feel about it, the billions and billions of dollars for our military services, there is money in our government, and many of the veterans programs that exist near you, you can Google, we have Greater Los Angeles VA Hospital, but there's millions of them all over the country and world that have resources. When we talk about defunding the police in the United States, what we really mean is reallocating the money to other services that could benefit police officers. And yes, the branding of defunding the police is horrific branding. I don't know whose idea that was, but this idea of being a solution to allocate some of the money towards your programming is you guys are solving some of the issues that certainly our first responders, but even veterans programs are looking for. So remember, to Stephanie's point, you guys are the ones on the front lines. I'm just going to use that language. So as the ones delivering this incredible, useful alternative methodology to support mental health, you're a solution. And if you go in with that mindset, then you aren't really carrying sort of this urgency and or even this begging kind of feeling. You're really just providing a solution. And sometimes you're just going to drop off one sheet and maybe definitely some graphics and pictures of all of the incredible programs that are out there. Utilize the International Surf Therapy Organization. We have the first ever academic journal dedicated to surf therapy research that tells you what James talked about, the benefits to every one of our participants or athletes and their ability to re-engage with family, re-engage at school, re-engage in the workplace. We are finding our participants to be like thriving at life because of the services of surf therapy. So since all of you are the practitioners of it and you're out there delivering it, the truth is people don't know about you yet. And that's just the truth. Part of it might be your social media, part of it might be your branding, part of whatever you might think it is. I mean, even ISTO, this is our 5th year and people still don't know who we are. So I'm telling you, let people know who you are. Let them know who you are because they want to help. But if they don't know who you are and they don't know what you're doing, they don't know how to or what to do. So look at it like this, give them the opportunity to help you. And that's what you're doing. All you're doing is giving them some information about who you are and what you do and let them come to you with what they can offer, because that's really, I think when you let them know who you are, they're super excited to be a part of that. But if they don't know you exist, they don't know where to put the money. And again, veterans, government, first responders, there's money in all of those agencies. So go get it. Let's change the world.
Yeah, team. It looks like we're coming up on the hour, and Larry, I just can't say thank you enough. I really appreciate you and your time donating this. Thank you. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I told Chris, I get as much out of this as I give or more, because I truly believe in what the ocean does for me every single morning. So I'm into it, and I'm into helping. I'm into learning from you. So yeah, I can't wait to see all of you in person sometime soon.
Yes, thank you. Can't wait to hear when your book is released, because
Yeah, I'll let everyone know. And we'll
yeah, that's awesome. Thank you. Anybody have any last minute add-ons or thoughts for next month's meeting? Something that you're dying to get some info on? Anything last minute in parting? Wow. Okay. Well, you all have a safe, happy, healthy month. We'll meet next second Tuesday. I don't even know what date that is. My head is a little spinny right now, but I'll send out a reminder, but it'll be the second Tuesday in June. We'll figure out the time slot so somebody's not getting up at 5 a.m. Mark.
Oh, good. 6 a.m. is fine. 6 a.m. is all right. I'd love to know how many dogs Michelle has. I've been very curious.
Michelle, you're on mute.
Oh, well, we have 2 golden doodles and the pit bull right here, and they're all trying to say hi to me. So yeah, they like to get in on whatever's going on.
Mark, I wanted to ask you, you're in Australia?
Yeah.
Do you work with like occupational therapists over there?
Yeah. So we have
Thought so.
Joel.
Our facilitators it's a mix, mostly OT and social work, but we have some psych as well.
That's the main, yeah, you guys have a huge OT. I'm Makota. You have a huge OT program, and that's why I like hung on to this in school. I found
Carly,
yeah, her research.
Awesome.
And I was like, why don't we have that here? I mean, not to mention, I'm just going through a bad ankle injury, and I was actually rehabbing myself because I couldn't run anymore from the military. Yeah. And I'm like,
yeah. So you're an OT, Corey?
I'm a CODA. Yeah, I'm an occupational therapist assistant.
Okay,
OT
cool.
or supervisor. They supervise me. I set the goals, and then I do the work.
Yeah, awesome. That's great. Yeah, we love good OT. Our founder's an OT, so we
no way. Yeah, dude. I mean, just we do the upper body, we do the mental health. It's kind of like
everything. OT covers everything.
Yeah.
I say that occupational therapy came from psychology and surf therapy came from occupational therapy.
Yeah, it did. If you read, I mean, in the introduction classes, they say that we're like a mix. We came from psychology and nursing kind of field. Both is like combined.
Yeah, but surf therapy definitely came from OTs. And the cool thing is, Corey, Joel and Carly worked very closely together. Joel actually reached out to Carly because Carly is just a little bit ahead of Joel in schooling. And so, I think Joel would say Carly was definitely a mentor and a big, supporter of Foundation WOW. And Foundation WOW has been around for a bit longer than the rest of the team here. But you guys are making such big waves down there. Sorry, Mark, for putting you on the spot, but I just knew you would have stuff to add.
Good. I'm was really trying to think, because Joel's usually in charge of all the fundraising stuff, but it's it was a great event, and I'm happy I can share that with the team.
Yeah, surfing's like a national friggin' sport over there too. You guys are lucky.
Yeah, there's lots of options. I mean, I'm a Canadian, so I'm Australian citizen now, but
hence that accent.
Love it over here.
Hence that accent, that Canadian accent. Hysterical.
It's not that bad.
Yeah, we can hear that.
Come on, mate.
Anyway, Thanks, everybody. You rock. Shane, you rule. I'll be in touch with you.
right,
Stephanie,
guys.
it's so good to see you. James and Ben, I miss you. I love all you guys. Miss
No,
everybody.
thank you guys so much for joining. I know it's hard, the coordinating an event around the world at any given time. It's like, oh my gosh, like
It's
how do we do
hard.
it? It is hard. So we'll try to mix it up. It looks like June 9th is the next. Am I doing that right? No, June 8th. Somewhere in there. I'll send it out in an email. But you guys, thank you so much.
Cool.
Please shoot me an email if there's any topics you guys want covered, specific, guest speakers, so whether it's like, social media to, whatever, just like we want to bring really quality, valuable people to these groups and get the most out of them as we can. So please shoot me an email if you have anything that comes to mind or something that would help, the whole group. Please don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Cool.
everybody.
Cheers, guys. See you soon.
Bye.
Cheers. See you all.